All right, everybody, what is going on with all y'all out there? Hope everybody is fine as they can be. I want to discuss something that I have been putting a lot of thought into, probably too much thought. And why I put in all this thought, I really don't know why. It's just how my brain works, and it's where life has led me for some reason. And it's just who I am. It's the way that I talk about things. It's just what I say, and it's what I have to say for myself. I want to talk about the concept of God. And I'm going to start out big, like I always do. Where did the concept of God come from? Really think about this. Even if you don't believe in God, or you do believe in God, or you're agnostic, it doesn't mean that we can't listen to one another talk about this subject. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that we can't listen to one another speaking about the concept of God. Because if you want me to be absolutely honest with you, I think about God all the time in my mind. God always comes up, the subject of God, a creator, creation. How did this all come to be? And what I want to say here is, how did we get the concepts that we have today? How did man, from the beginning of men, since men have been men, since we have been humanoids, how did we think God? You know what I'm saying? Where did we get the concepts to build things? Where did we get the concepts to plant food and all the little intricate things that go into it? And I know this argument, I already know what everybody will say. The atheists will say, because these are things that we learned over time, and over the course of time, men experimented with stuff, and men went through, nature and all that stuff, and little experiments is what made inventions. That's how inventions are made, through small experiments. It's experimenting with things. This is how the first bow was made. This is how the first car was made. This is how the first set of clothing was made, because we experimented with it. And it was little steps at a time. But here is what I'm saying, though. Where is the source behind these things? What is the source behind everything that we do, that we have done up until this point? You see, this is where I'm very confused, but it's a question that I ask because there is no answer to this. And this is what keeps us kind of, I think, yearning for this something inside every one of us. Even people that might hate life are still yearning for something. People could hate life, and they could yearn for something that they might not tell anybody that they're yearning for, because they're too prideful to say that they are yearning for something. But when you think about this, like building things, how did man know how to do all this sophisticated stuff that we do? And I am not saying, in this video, I am not saying that there is a God or there isn't a God. I am not saying either or. But really, if I'm being honest, lately, I have been leaning more towards, there has got to be something that put this into action. There's got to be something behind all of this. And I know, I even watch channels that don't believe in God, people that despise God, people that think God is just some concept and whatever, and that's fine. You have your opinion, you have your view. This isn't an argument. This is just me talking about how can we possibly be doing this? How can we possibly be here living and breathing and thinking and doing all these things? And why do I think about God so much? Why do I think of something outside of myself? But I know that when I think of that, it's me that's really thinking it, but it's a very strange thing. I can't really explain it to people. For people that just completely block out the concept of God, then they're going to either anger will arise, or bitterness, or hatred, or even rage. You know, they'll get really pissed off because they don't want to hear anything about it, and that's fine. Like I said, everybody is entitled to their opinion. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a view. But the longer that I live, and there are days where my mind tells me, there can't be anything. You know, why would this do this? Why would animals have to eat each other? Why would nature have to do what nature does? Even though nature is, you stand in awe of what it does, at the same time, you say to yourself, there's something, even though it is perfection in the essence of how it does what it does, like the way that it operates, it's cruel perfection. It is beautiful perfection. It's like beautiful cruelness at the same time. It's like two things at the same time. And this is why I constantly always talk about contradictions, because we can't escape from the contradictions. It is impossible to escape from it. You will not understand this world until you understand contradictions. It's impossible to understand the world that we're in if we don't understand contradictions and conundrums and paradoxes and how strange this whole thing really is. And really, if you want me to be honest, life is like SSD. It is survival, silence, and distraction. That is what life revolves around. It revolves around survival. It evolves around us finding things to do, exercising, drawing, making music, going to a job and working so that we can pay rent, planting food, playing basketball, whatever it is that you do, whatever the activity, and then silence, sleep, rest, solitude. That is what life is. It is those three principles. It is survival, silence, and sound. We're making sound, we're distracting ourselves, and we're surviving. But to me, it doesn't make sense. There's something that just doesn't quite make sense to me in all of this. We have this yearning in us. We have this thing going on in us, and some of us feel as though we're missing something. We know it's there, but we won't admit it to one another. And even though I could get into telling you why and how I came to think this and why that, I can tell you all that, but I'm not going to explain myself. But I know that when I was resonating on the thought of God, and I would meditate on God, and all that I did was think of God, my life was better. My life was better. It was better. I'm not going to lie. But then I started my journey of questioning everything and being skeptical and asking question after question after question. And I looked into everything that I could possibly look into as a person. There is not too many things that I have not looked into as an individual person. So the reason that I talk about God or a creator or a source or some being or something that put this into action, something that did this, is because it's very hard to think that us men with these brains, if you really think about it, we like to think that we're smart. We like to think that we're smart. But where does genius come from? Where does intelligence come from? Where do smart people, how are they smart? What made them that way? See, some people would say, oh, well, it's just pure coincidence. It's genes. It's their upbringing that made them that way. It's this and that and that and this and these things that did it and those things that did it. I'm having trouble believing that myself. And I don't want to use the word believe because I don't want to misconstrue this, but it's hard for me to think that because there has always been something in me musically and as an artist that there was something there that was just automatically there. It was just there in me already. I didn't have to learn it. I didn't have to know it. I didn't really have to do anything. Like the moment I heard music, the moment that I heard rhythm and sound, it was already instilled in me. I didn't have to learn all these different things or listen to so many people. It was something that was already there. And this is what is so hard to explain, like people that are scientists that make these, just anything that we make, cars, bombs, houses, the way that we plant food, the intricacy that goes into this machinery that we use, and on and on and on. And it just seems to be like there's something behind this stuff. But maybe all of the creation is the creator itself. I don't know, but it's just kind of hard to think that something was not made in our image to make us what we are. It's just very hard to not think that. And I know a lot of you will think, oh, well, you're just going by the Bible and you're going by, Christianity and so and so and so and on and on and on and on. No, listen, I already know the difference between what I know as a person and what I think and what goes on in my head as an individual compared to scripture and doctrine and other things, because I have already read it for myself and I have already discerned it for what it was, and I've already went through that stage. I have already went through the repentance stage. I've already went through the religious phase. I already went through the spiritual phase. I already went through all of those phases, the drug addict stage, the young, immature guy stage, the being an idiot for people stage. And some of those things are still in me as a person, but it doesn't make me everything that I am all the time. It's just something, it's thoughts in my mind. It's conditioned things. It is metaphors. It's like metaphors in my mind. But why am I saying all this? I know that this is not getting me anywhere. It's not accomplishing anything. It's not proving anything. I'm not doing this video to make anybody change their mind or to do anything different or to be a different person. It's just saying, why would someone like me think about something like this so much? And there is this weird thing going on that I can't explain to anybody. I don't put my trust in man. I do not put my trust in man. I put my trust in something inside myself that is something that is, it doesn't feel like it's me though. It doesn't feel like it is, I am not the one providing it. I am not the one that is, and I know you could say, oh, well, that's just a delusion in your mind. That's just you thinking that. You just think that it's this thing or that thing or whatever. But I don't know. It's all so strange. It's all so weird. It's actually confusing, but then at the same time, it makes sense to me at the same time, though. It's very strange. It's a very strange thing. It's a very strange phenomenon that's going on in my life. And, you know, we're so quick to say that we either know that something exists or we don't know, and there isn't nothing. Some people just have a direct answer for this. And if we want to be honest with ourselves, none of us really knows. None of us knows. None of us knows if there is a creator or there is a source or there is something behind all of this, a designer. Because in my mind, I say, there's got to be something. There's got to be something. But then there's another part in my mind that says, well, why would this be like this? And why would this thing do this? And why would nature be so cruel? And why would we do some of the things that we do to each other? And why do some people have it good while others have it bad? And what, like all of this stuff. And then this compassion comes in me where I will get this compassion fatigue, because I'll start thinking about all these things and I'll say, well, where is my place in all of this? Where do I fit in all of this chaos? And if there is a creator, the creator, now I say he because I'm used to saying he, but the creator, God made this like God made this, if there is a God for some reason. It made it like this, but I still have questions. I still have things that just don't feel right. But just because they don't feel right to me, that doesn't necessarily mean that I know better because it doesn't feel right, or that I am right, because maybe evil and all this stuff was a part of the whole thing that needed to happen. Maybe we needed to understand good and evil. Maybe we needed to understand right and wrong. We needed to have a choice for these things to decide the outcome of our own eternity here, if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to sound religious. I'm not trying to sound spiritual. I'm not trying to sound like I believe or I don't believe. I am simply stating how I feel about it, how I think about it. And some of you have your minds made up. Some of you are like, no, there is no God. You know there's no God. I don't believe in God. Fuck you. Fuck that. I'm not for it. And we will have this disagreement, and then we won't listen to one another no more. We'll kind of block each other out because one person thinks there is and another person thinks there isn't. But I think that's the wrong approach. You know, and then you'll have people that say, oh no, I know without a doubt in my mind, I am 100% sure. You're not going to tell me otherwise. I know that when this thing happened to me, it was God. I know that when that miracle happened to me, it was God. I know that it was God, and God is real, and I know that God's in my life. And then people kind of brag about God. They start using God as their kind of excuse or stepping stone, and everything that happens to them, they say is God. And maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it is God. Maybe it is God allowing it to happen. I don't know. Do you know? You see, the thing is, I'm testing you right now, because if you say you know for sure, or you know for sure, or you don't know and say no, there isn't, see, that right there is telling me that we would not be able to sit down with one another and discuss these things. There's no room for what people have made up in their minds, is what I'm saying. And me, I don't have my mind made up. I just know how I see things. I know how the world operates. I know how people are. I know why we do what we do. I have an understanding of music and writing and the arts, and I have an understanding of a lot of this world. And I understand a little too much for my own good, if I'm being honest. And it's almost like how do you know? Like, you can't know for sure. Like, we are in the middle of nowhere on this watery, muddy, grassy rock with trees, animals, people. Everything's moving all the time. It's just continual chaos. And people are living and dying, and it's all happening. And what I'm really getting at is, if there is no God, or there is no creator, or there is no source, or there is no reason why we are here, then yes, everything is ultimately pointless and meaningless, and it doesn't mean anything but what we're doing right now in our lives. And I am a now person. I am someone that I deal with now. I want to get things out of the way now. I want to talk about what I need to talk about now. It isn't some planned thing, or I need to say this to these people, or I should say this, or I shouldn't say that. It has nothing to do with that once you are someone that you can just be what it is that you're going to be in the time that you're going to be it, which is now, all the time. See, most people already have their minds made up on everything, and they go about their lives in a kind of programmed way. It's no, this is like this because I said, and this is like this because I know it is, and you're not going to tell me otherwise. And there's a lot of arrogant, stubborn people in this world that they have no room to hear anything other than what they think they are sure of knowing. And I have people like this in my life. You can't change their mind. You cannot tell them anything different than what they think that they want to know. And this is where the danger lies in this life. This is why we can't sit down and have a discussion amongst each other. We can't even sit and talk about certain things because certain people are just so in their ways. They're so stubborn. They're so caught up in, no, I know, or I don't know, and there is nothing, and there is none of that, and I'm never going to be with this. I'm never going to do that. And see, that is a programmed person. That is a person that has been programmed by worldly things and worldly ways and the way that they think the world wants them to be. And see, this is why I resonate with the words, a lot of the scripture in the Bible. It isn't that I'm Bible thumping or I say that I'm religious, but what I do resonate with, my kingdom is not of this world. My kingdom is not of the programmed thinking of this world. Because I'm not in that anymore, and I'm aware of that, and I can discern that. And what's other ones that I could say? There's other things that I could say that really resonate with me because it's... Listen, here's what I'm going to say to you. Was Jesus Christ a real person? I think that he was a real person. I think that he did say and do what he did, but was he really speaking to God when, he said, my God, why have you forsaken me? He even said this to God. So what he was doing is he was literally talking to himself when he said this. He was talking to himself when he said this, and I could never understand this. And what he was basically saying is, I did this to show people how much I truly love them. I'm willing to sacrifice my own life to show them my love for them. But yet I said to myself, why have you forsaken me? And what he's saying is, why do we forsake each other? Why do we leave each other destitute? Why do we treat each other as though it's not us, ourselves? You see what I mean? And it's very, very, very strange to understand this. Like, if you don't have this kind of discernment, you're probably not going to understand what I mean by what I'm saying. But there is a lot of things that I resonate with, because it says so much about the current state of this world. It says, in those times there will be many false prophets coming in my name. And what do you see today? There's all these new age gurus that are telling you that they have God on their side and God spoke to them and they know the answer for you, and they're promising you things and they're telling you things. And it's just all so wrong, because who are you, if there is a God, to speak for God? Like who are you to do that if there is a God? You can't speak for God. How can you speak for something if there is something? How can you speak for that thing? How can you say what that thing is thinking, or what that thing does, or anything? Because we're just humans. We're just people that happen to come about in a time in space and matter and everything, and then we say that us, somehow we did this, like we do these things. Nothing comes from us. We don't provide anything here. Nothing. This sun burning 93 million miles away right now is providing heat to my face, and I have no control over what that's doing. The only thing that I do have control over, though, is my actions and what I'm going to do and what I'm going to say. And even though what I say, it might not make sense to everybody, there's no way that I can make sense to everybody, because it's not going to make sense. Everything is not going to resonate with every person. It's not made to do that. There's made to be a disagreement there. It's made for us to think a little bit different. But if we could all just accept each other's subjectiveness, and we could, the objective things, we could actually say those for what they really are and not play games with the objective, because the objective is reality. It's everything that is real. It is science. It is things that we know. It is things that are actually happening in this world. Now, our subjectivity is something completely different. That is our opinions. That is our views. That is the way that we see things. People that believe in God, that's their subjectiveness. If they don't believe in God, that's their subjectiveness. And see, we kind of intermingle the two in our everyday life. And most people don't know how to differentiate between the two. And that's all I'm saying. And when I talk about this, the reason I'm saying this is because I feel as though if I can't be honest with myself and I can't be honest with other people, then who am I if I can't be honest with myself? Who am I if I can't talk openly and freely how I really think subjectively. See, there's always going to be subjective friction between us, y'all. There's always going to be subjective friction as long as we're alive. Not all of us are going to agree on the most little things. We're not going to agree. We're going to disagree on some very little subjects. Some people don't realize how much they're living. They're living by an actual program instead of just living how they actually want to live, how they know the things that they actually want to say. They will hold their tongue and they won't really say it. And look, even I do this sometimes, if I'm being honest. Even I do this shit. There's sometimes when I'm around people that I don't really say what I really want to say. And then there's something in me, I get kind of mad at myself, but then at the same time, I'm like, Nate, don't sweat it. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal, Nate. And it's like these little things, these small little things that can turn something into something way bigger than what it didn't need to be, you know? But anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about this right now. I have no idea. I'm just getting people to think, and I'm just venting what I need to vent. You know, this isn't even telling anybody else what to do, how to do, where to do, because you can't make anybody happy. You can't make anybody make a choice or see things the way you see it. And this is something that you just got to come to the cold, harsh reality of, is that no one person is the same here. But I think we have this thought in our head that people are supposed to be the exact same as we are. And it's just not true. And that's why if we don't start accepting each other's subjectiveness and we keep intermingling subjectiveness with objectiveness, then we're going to have a problem. We're going to be creating more problems. You see, because everybody thinks that, oh, I am right. And then there's people that say, I know that I'm wrong. Listen, there's something that another YouTuber said. When you come to this kind of understanding and this type of consciousness thinking that you have, there is no right or wrong. There's moral things that are right and wrong. Yes, it's morally wrong to hurt someone and abuse someone. It's morally wrong to stab or shoot or to knock out or to molest or any of those things. It's wrong. It's morally wrong to do those things. But when we're talking about subjectiveness, there is no right or wrong at all. You can't have right or wrong with subjectiveness. Objectiveness, there can be right or wrong. But there is no right or wrong about subjectivity. If somebody wants to celebrate the holidays, they can do that. That's their own subjective life. Even though I'm not a holiday guy, because I'm not into the whole, oh, you should celebrate the holiday. You should buy a gift on the holiday. You should do this and you should do that. I'm not going to force myself to do those things. But I don't care if other people do it. See, a lot of us, we are so judgmental and we don't even realize how judgmental we really are. And a lot of us, we won't admit that we're judgmental. We won't admit we're judgmental because a lot of us are in denial of being judgmental, or we don't even notice. We don't even see that we're being judgmental and how judgmental we are. And it's like, I don't care. Anyone's subjective reality is their subjective reality. If a girl likes to dance and she likes to do backflips and she likes to wear the color purple every day and she picks her nose, that's her subjectiveness. I don't care. I do not care. If you're someone that listens to Green Day and you like taking long hikes and you eat Snickers bars, then that's what you're going to do. So it is just this video is kind of like a reminder. Let's not be so judgmental towards one another. You know, there is a lot of people that associate themselves with spirituality or being a Buddha or whatever, and they talk about these things, but yet they're so judgmental towards other people. And I don't really think we see this, because if you're not willing to reflect back onto yourself what you're doing, see, most people, all they know how to do is project. They don't know how to reflect. And this is what God is to me. God is my reflection. God is me. God is the very thing. When I reflect, that is God in my mind, in my head. You see what I'm saying? Projection, my own projection it doesn't even matter. When I project what I think of other people, it doesn't even matter. If I say that, oh, you know, you should be like this or you should be like that, or why do you do that? Why do you dress that way? Why do you talk that way? That is me being judgmental. And we don't realize how judgmental we really are. And this is another scripture that resonates with me. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Those who judge will be judged. And this is something that I have to remind myself of, is saying to myself, Nate, you have been really judgmental lately, like really, really judgmental. And we don't even notice that we're doing this most of the time. Like, we forget that we are, just because someone doesn't dress like us or act like us or look like us or shave like us or have a lifestyle like us, right away there's something wrong with them. You know, oh, they're not like me, so I'm gonna hate them or be jealous of them or mock them or make fun of them. And look, I don't mind comedy. I'm not a stiff-necked, just some person that is sitting around waiting for these things to happen every second. But it's if we have an understanding of this, what I mean is the paradigm of how you think of the world and your own life will shift. And the reason that I know these things is because of resonating on certain scripture, is resonating on certain doctrine, on certain forms of religiousness. It isn't that I'm a religion. I'm not into religion. I'm not into spirituality. It's just I get what I get from the doctrine and some of the things there to guide me in my life, to say certain things to myself. But I don't label myself as anything, because there's no need to label myself, because I'm never one thing. And this is what it means to actually be a free individual. You don't have to worry like, oh, I got to say this thing for them to approve of me, or I got to be this way so that this person doesn't think of me this way. And if I'm around this group of people and they're all judging this person, I'm going to hop on the bandwagon and do it too. See, this makes you a coward when you're like this. When you're not willing to stand up for what you know is true within yourself. And you know that what you're saying is something that's telling you not to do something, but we go against our own intuition because we're around other people. And this is why it's like George Carlin said, when you're around one person, right when it gets up to two people, watch out, because people start changing. People start showing off for one another. People start talking just crazy. People just start talking bad about one another. People start gossiping about one another. And this is human nature, but do you realize your human nature? See, do you realize that is what I'm saying? And look, I'm not going to keep going, because now it seems like I'm preaching again. I always tell myself this, like, Nate, you're preaching. But I'm not. I'm not preaching. I'm just being honest. See, that's them intrusive thoughts that come in my head that tell me, oh, you're doing this too much, you're doing that too much, and all that's a lie. It's just intrusive thoughts in my mind. But I don't know. That is me. That is how I see it. I just ask myself, what are the odds that we are here living on a planet doing what we're doing? And it's just all so crazy to me. I just can't fathom how we are on this blue, this blue brown dot with clouds from the sky. And when you zoom out, there's just so much stuff. There's just an infinite amount of stars and planets and solar systems, and somehow we came to be what we are. Now, what a lot of people are going to do, people that do believe in God will say, yeah, Nate, because that's God. God does everything. God is in all things. And see, if you start to be sure of yourself, then that is right when you're veering off the path of letting now be now and being honest in right now. Do you see what I'm saying? Or if you're someone that says, dude, there is no God. There is nothing. This happened how it happened. Evolution took place. There was the Big Bang and all this came together how it did, and DNA and organisms and molecules, and it happened, and it's a coincidence, and that's why everything is so out of control and it's chaotic, because there's nobody controlling it. But what I mean is, what is behind the controlling it is what I'm saying. What keeps the heart beating? What keeps me breathing? What keeps the world spinning? What keeps the sun going in its orbit? What keeps that thing doing what it does? Is there anything behind it, or isn't there anything behind it? And if there isn't anything behind it, I think that's even more crazier if there isn't anything behind it. I know that sounds strange, but I say to myself, if all of this just did what it did and these molecules stayed together how they did, and if it was off just a slight fraction, everything would just break apart. Everything would just go completely chaotic. And how does it stay together? How does the earth spin at like 600 miles per hour, yet we don't fly around or bounce around or shake or do anything? And I know there's an answer behind it, but what I mean is, what is behind it? What is keeping energy to be energy? What is keeping this going? What is doing all of this stuff? See, a lot of people are not going to get what I mean by that. And to me, I think that there might be some ultimate source that is, it's like us picking up a rock and saying, this is a rock. This is a rock in my hand. This rock does not have a brain. This rock cannot think. This rock cannot do anything. It's just a rock. It is a piece of material. And me as a human being, I know this is a rock. I can throw this rock. I can cook with this rock. I can heat this rock up and lay on it. I can skip this rock. And it's kind of like when you look at us, it just, there's sometimes I think that there is something that is there that is saying, that is looking at us like the rock, if that makes sense. And it's giving us the ability to choose what we want to choose and to do what we do. And this is where all of the things, when it talks about the fruits of the Spirit, long suffering, patience, kindness, all these traits within a person that makes us what we are. And if we practice those things and we endure with one another and we have reverence for one another and we start appreciating the fact that we only have this little bit of time on this earth, even in something like myself, even though I have something with my mental health that I can't control. I never could control, but that is a circumstance in my life. That does not make me what I know. Depression and all that is because of my circumstances. That's why I'm that way. It's if I'm not healthy, I'm going to feel bad. If I'm financially broke, I'm going to be worrying about money and worrying, how am I going to get the next dollar bill? How am I going to, get the next bite of food? And that's where all of that comes from. It is a lifestyle issue. It's a circumstance issue. And a lot of us, we are in a bad circumstance. We are in a bad lifestyle that we're living. But most of us, we're not willing to either look at it, we're not willing to change it, or we just don't give a shit, or we're too stubborn. We're too arrogant to do anything different. And a lot of us have our mind made up. We just say, oh no, this is how it is, and that's the way that it's always going to be. Or some people say, no, that's not the way it is, and that's not the way it is, so why are you lying to yourself? See, I think this is the wrong approach, if I'm being honest. Now, that's my own subjectivity. I think that it's the wrong approach, but it doesn't make it wrong that somebody else thinks something different. I just know unto myself, if we can't have a sit down, even though the mob kills each other and they're a violent organization, at least they did one good thing. They sat down, they had a sit down, they talked, they discussed, they communicated. And I was watching something just last night, where Kim Jong-un, and he's threatening war and all this shit. It will be a simple lack of communication that will destroy mankind. A simple lack of communication, we will destroy each other. All because we can't let our pride down and we can't communicate. All because we think we're right. See, their ideology, I am North Korean, I am right, this is my ideology. Or, I live in the United States and I'm an American, so my ideology is right. And do you see how this arrogance, this cockiness, this pride is causing more problems than what need to be caused? Do we not see this? See, this is what it means waking up out of the slumber. This is what it means if the word enlightenment means anything. And what has enlightened me to these things is both scripture, is both the thought of thinking about God, going through things in my own life, suffering, pain, misery, living these things, actually being the one that is doing it. See, I've been there and I've done it. So that's why I'm a living testimony unto it. Doesn't make me more, doesn't make me better, doesn't make me bigger, doesn't make me higher. It makes me the I am of everything. It makes me the truest self that can possibly be. There can't be another thing. There can't be another thing. And there's another thing that this guy that calls himself like a Buddha or not a sannyasin, whatever a word is called, a sensei. He calls himself a sensei. I kind of see myself as a sensei. I kind of see myself as like a mentor, an apprentice. And he said that the Buddha is not about no self. It is about recognizing, I forget how he said it. He said it in a certain way. See, most of us don't understand what these metaphors, what this doctrine and the metaphors are saying to us. That's the problem. And we judge so quickly because we don't understand where another person is coming from. And we don't listen to each other. And there is no such thing as no self. That is completely crazy. It is just the art of letting go of so much self. You see what I'm saying? It is the ability to understand that most of the things that we have been programmed to think we have to be. We really don't have to be. We just think that we have to be that way because we were told this at one time. But it doesn't reign true in the now of what is going on right now in our lives. And I know this stuff sounds strange. I know that it sounds weird to some people. I know it might sound off-putting, or it might make you feel comfortable. I don't know what it does, but I can't speak any other way because I don't know any other way. And that's what I mean. I'm not going to be something that I'm not for the world. I'm not going to talk like something I'm not. I'm not going to act like something I'm not. And when you make up your mind with that, you will not prevail. You will not prevail on your true self. You won't prevail on a falseness or a false identity or a false image of yourself, because you don't make yourself an image. You don't make yourself an identity. You don't label yourself as anything. That is the truest self that you're ever going to be, is what is right now. This right here. So why do I get so down on myself? Why do I feel ashamed? Why do I feel like I'm the one that is wrong sometimes? Why do I feel that way? Because it's a reminder. It's a reminder in my mind telling me, Nate, you've been there. You've done that. You know what that does. You've seen that before. And it doesn't mean that I'm holding back. It's just I know better with a lot of things. And then there's some things that aren't that big of a deal. And it's like, just do it. If you want to do it, do it. It's not going to be the end of the world because you do something that is not living up to this like works-based thing, like this works-based faith of righteousness or something. Because like it says, I'm going to say it again, it says your works are like dirty rags. And most of us, we are religiously working to make it look like we're good people, to act like we're so good, to make it look like we have everything together when we don't. We're people. We do things. Things happen. That's life. That's the way that it is. And this is all a form of letting go and letting things be how they are and accepting things and saying the only thing I have control over is a choice that I make. I don't have control over all of this chaos. I don't have control over other people and what they do or think. But are they in this with me? Are they a part of what I'm speaking? Are they understanding what I'm speaking? Are they getting the circle, the full circle? That is what the symbol that I have. It's not even a symbol. It's a life statement. It's actually saying I have come full circle. And within that circle is everything. It's black, white, up, down, sky, ground, hot, cold, everything you can think of. Big, small, too much, too little, right, wrong, even though yet again there is no right or wrong subjectively. Or subjectively, there is right and wrong objectively. You see, if you get this, then the world around you will be different. It won't be the same way. You won't think the same way. You won't act the same way, because this is another thing that the Buddha teaching teaches us, is that life is, you must get used to change, because everything is always changing. Life is suffering. Things are going to be happening. So let us not fool ourselves into thinking that we are these beings that don't break down and don't rot away and don't get old and don't have things happen. That's not how it is. These are just things to remind us of the grace that we are given now, and grace is sufficient for us. And I know I sound like some preacher here. I know I sound like some wise man speaking to you. If you want me to be honest, I could get into this, but I don't think I'm going to do it because I went on long enough. But actually, we were not meant to know so much knowledge. Wisdom actually kills a person, because the more wisdom you have, the more of a burden you have, because the more you know, the more you understand why things are the way they are. And then if you're someone like me and you have compassion, you'll think that you have to fix everything. You'll think that, oh, I got to go feed this homeless guy. I have to say this to this person to make them feel better. I have to do this today so that they're not worrying. I have to go to them and I have to go there and do this and that. And there is such a thing as compassion fatigue. It really exists. I know it exists. And the thing is, be compassionate when it's absolutely needed to be compassionate. If it's a need-based thing, if it's something outside of your control, like someone's worrying or something like that, okay, you can sit with them and you can listen, but that's all you can do is listen. Just like whoever's watching this is listening, that is how you show your reverence. That is how you show your support. That is how you have an understanding, is when you sit and you listen and you just sit there with someone in the energy together. That's what true togetherness means. You see what I'm saying? Now, besides support financially, how you support me is by listening and liking the video, so that other people that are just here now living can listen to and can just sit there and can just let it be what it is. There's no need to make it anymore. There's no need to try to do anything else. And this is what I mean when I say surrendering unto yourself with all of this madness that's going on in the world. Like, you can't control it. You're not, the fear of missing out, FOMO, you're not missing out on anything. Where you are is where you're always going to be. You can't get away from where you are, because you're always going to be in this flesh vessel. So we can't get away. So there's no point in trying. There's no point in having to make anything, do anything. And why do I say these things? I say these things for people that have this trying mentality, that have this mentality that I got to be better than what I am. I have to do way more than what I'm already doing. If you want to do that, do that. That's an option. That's a choice. But forcing yourself to do it, you know that it's not genuine if you have to force yourself to do it, is what I'm saying. And there's too many people in this world that are forcing themselves to do things. They're acting as if something's one way and it's really not that way and it's another way. And with me, I don't resonate with things like that. I resonate with now. I resonate with what is true. I resonate with someone actually saying what needs to be said when it needs to be said, because that's what needs to be said. And I know this sounds so cliche. It sounds kind of cheesy, if you want me to be honest. That's what I think in my mind. But aren't the cheesy things, the things that we mock and laugh at, ain't that what we really are? We act as though, like, when we see something funny, we'll laugh and go, oh, I shouldn't be laughing at that. But you're laughing at it because you know that you're those things. You know that you're that silliness. You know that you're that funny thing. You know that you joke. You know that you play. You know that you do things. That is human nature. But apart from that, apart from the subjectivity of a person, there is the objectivity. And that is the part where discipline and understanding and knowledge and being consciously aware of the things that you're doing in life come into play. You see what I mean? It's like two different worlds. And then on top of that, when you're talking about God or anything, all you're really talking about is a reflection of yourself. When you're talking about God, that's what it means by we were made in the image of God, because we are the reflection. Anything that we say about God is just coming from us. That's all that it is. It's another metaphor. Whether it's for real or it isn't for real, I don't know, and I don't claim to know. Because if I say that I know and I say that I'm sure of myself, I already defeated myself. I've already talked myself into a hole of a judgmental attitude, of a stubbornness, of a stagnant stubbornness, of a kind of, what is the word I'm looking for? An arrogantness to me that, oh, I already know. And I do this. I do this. That's why I'm telling y'all, because I do this too. And look, I don't mean to sound, if I sound so serious in these videos, I really don't mean to sound serious. It's just the way that I talk. It's just the way that I vent when I'm by myself. But I'm not trying to be so serious. I'm telling you to lighten up. Lighten the hell up, y'all. Live. If you want to do something great, do something great. Whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, it's irrelevant to doing something in your life. If you want to do something awesome, do something awesome. If you want to be the best musician in the world in your mind, be the best musician in the world. If you want to climb Mount Everest, go climb Mount Everest. If you want to go bungee jumping or skydiving, or you want to walk the Appalachian Trail, go do it. If you want to visit somewhere, if you want to build something, do it. If you have the finances, if you have the ability to do it, do it. What is stopping you? The only thing that is stopping us is each other, is the fear of what other people are going to think of us. And do you see, that is the programmed way of thinking. When we're not thinking of our true self and being our true self and doing what we really do, then we're putting on a show. We're wearing the mask. We're projecting. We're judging. We're saying, oh, those people, look what they're doing. But then we're not looking at ourselves. We're not even living our lives. So in this, that's what I resonate on. That's what makes me, me, if I am anything, is that. And that's how I live my life every single day. I might get in my moods. I might be bitchy sometimes. I might not be in the mood. I might be like, leave me alone, get away from me. I don't want to do this right now. That is just my subjectivity. Accept my subjectivity, and I will accept your subjectivity. If you're miserable and you're a prude, I'll let you be that way. I'm not trying to change you. I don't need to change you. We don't need to put the pressure on ourselves to try to be happy, to expect to be happy. See, this is what all of these things have taught me. This is what all of these doctrines, metaphorically, this is what all of this spirituality, all of the writings, all of the art, all of the musicians, actors, movies, lifestyles, the creation, God, creator, source, planets, universe, life. This is what all of this is, scrambled in my head like eggs, just scrambling eggs everywhere. And that's how it is with me. And I don't make any qualms about it. And if you understand this, that is as free as you will ever be. You can't get any more freer. You are free from the construct. You are free from this matrix construct, metaphorically. And that's just a metaphor, saying this construct, this matrix. You're free from that. You're finally free because you don't have to live like a program anymore. You don't have to live like a robot anymore, folks. You are now free. And this is the one good thing about America. The one good thing about America is you can start over at any time. If you change your mind, you can start over. You can say, I'm not living this way anymore. You can say, I am off to a fresh start today. I am not living how I've been living for the last 10 years. That is the one thing good about America, is that you have the ability to make anything you want to happen if you really want to do it. And there's no excuses, not even for me. There's no excuse. The only excuse is my own laziness, my own judgmental attitude, my own bullshit going on in my head, my own intrusive thoughts, my own everything, my own, and it all falls on me in the end. So anything happening in my life, it's mostly me, but it is some of my circumstance that goes on with this thing. I'm not in denial of that. I'm not in denial that I do struggle with certain mental health things and I do need help with certain things. I'm not in denial of that. I'm not going to act like I have this all together. I'm not going to act like I'm a perfect being, because I'm not. I'm not a perfect being. There is no such thing. And it's just learning to be yourself. It's learning to flow. It's the practice of flowetry. Flowetry. When you know that you know, you know that you know. There is a time where when you get this, you will literally say to yourself and others, it's my way or the highway. And it's not going back to being stubborn. It's just a knowing within yourself. It's my way or no way at all, because I know what I'm resting is. What I'm resting in is the only thing left. There is nowhere to go. There is nowhere left to go. And when you and I leave what is being said here, all you're doing is running from yourself again. All you're doing is chasing again. All you're doing is trying again. All you're doing is manipulating again. All you're doing is judging again. Fear of missing out again. Do you understand what I'm saying here? See, once you get this, it's something that is so ingrained in you that you can't get out of it, and you don't need to get out of it. You don't want to get out of it. I don't want to get out of what I know in this, what I'm speaking of. Why would I? It's everything that I am. It's everything that I do. It is the truth. It is the true self. It is the state of consciousness. It is enlightenment, if the word enlightenment means anything. It is that. Now, can you say that for yourself is the question. Can you say that for you? You don't have to look at me. You don't have to project onto me. This is you reflecting on yourself. And it's actually something that is so easy that if we could all come to the understanding of this, we could knock out a lot of the problems in life. Even though there's still gonna be problems. We're not creating problems for ourselves anymore. We're not creating the thing that we blame, or the thing that we judge, or the thing that we mock, or the thing that we do everything we do with. This projecting will almost come to an end. You will only be self-reflecting on how you really see the world and how you really see people, places, and things. And when you're that honest, you will be shunned. You will be mocked. You will be made fun of. You will be misunderstood, because most people, they don't want to accept that within themselves. And then that's when the denial comes, and all of this comes, and this playing this game and putting up this front for people. Do you understand what I'm saying? If we could rest in what is being said in this video amongst ourselves and each other, then our lives could be what I think that they're supposed to be, what I know they're supposed to be. And when I say supposed to be, this isn't forcing anything. It is simply letting it be. It is talking about things that are so easy and simple, yet it's almost like we want to make things sophisticated. It's almost like we want to make things hard. It's like we want to start war with each other. It's like we don't want peace and creativity and to build and to plant and to do artistical things. I mean, really think about what I'm saying. It's almost like we are the ones that are creating these extra problems that are going on because we don't understand this. And I know that. I know that to be true. This is no guessing. This is no manipulating. This is no forcing. This is no acting like. I know that what I'm saying is true. I know without a doubt that it is true. And when you're talking about something being 100%, what you're saying is, this is my truest self. I can't be 99% me, because then I know that I would be holding something back. I would be lying to myself. I would be trying to be something that I'm not for the world. But don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a nutball. I'm crazy. I do weird things. I do strange things. The person you see on this video, this is me when I talk, when I'm doing these videos. But when I'm by myself and doing my own thing, listen, I am, and that's what it means to be a free person. You're gonna act like other people are not expecting you to act. You see what I'm saying? You're not gonna be going by the expectations of the world and people anymore, because you're living your life. And if you ask me, that is the meaning of life. The meaning of life is the meaning that you make it. That is the meaning of life, if it means anything. So I'm going to rest on that note. So take care of yourselves. If anyone would like to support my channel, it's really appreciated. I'll put everything down in the description. Anything would be appreciated. $1, $5, $10. If you want to help support me financially, or if you want to help support my channel, like the video or share the video with someone else. That's all you can do. And that's all we can do. That's all that can be done, if it's going to be done. So anyway, y'all, I got to get my clothes out the dryer here, and I'm going to eat something, and I'm going to chill, and it is what it is. It is what it is, y'all. So take care, be cool, don't sweat the small shit, don't worry too much. You know, the universe ain't going nowhere, we're not going nowhere, you're not missing out on anything. Keep doing what you do, and stay up, y'all. Later.